past my opponent's knees, and I've got him chest to chest. The hardest battles are prior to this. If we can get past those initial battles, and we get to this position here, all you got to do is extract your leg, okay? And that process is extremely easy, okay? So it makes solidifying the pin after we've gotten past this, solidifying the pass after we've pinned him so much easier, okay? So the great benefit is that instead of passing his guard and then trying to pin him, which is the hard part, we've already pinned him, and we just get the pass after the pin, okay? And most of the time, when you pass from half guard, you already have an underhook, you already have the inside position, so it makes doing things like elevating arms, isolating limbs, very, very easy, okay, because you've already solidified a solid pin that's very hard for your opponent to get out of before you've even passed the guard. Okay, so those are some of the benefits of passing from half guard, and just things to keep in mind. There's nothing wrong with conventional guard passes, but those are just the contrasts and the pros and cons of passing loosely and trying to get past your opponent's legs and then trying to solidify a pin, as opposed to solidifying the pin while you're still inside of your opponent's guard and then going in and extracting the leg. And you're going to have a much higher success rate when it comes to pinning people in side control, or even better, the mounted position, which is going to be the king in terms of chest to chest pins. All right, guys, so now let's look at some general strategies that we can go in and utilize to force half guard. What should I be thinking about when I am in a neutral position? I'm on top, my training partner is playing guard, and I want to go in and I want to get to a half guard. My goal would be, okay, I really want to solidify a pass on this guy, so I want to use half guard as the method of going in and passing. How am I going to get from a position where we're both neutral to a position where I'm chest to chest pinning him in half guard and then going in and solidifying my pass, okay? Well, there's three strategies that we're going to look at, okay? Three different ways that we can use, that we can get to half guard to go in and pass. But first, let's understand what position we're looking to get to, okay? I want, if he's down, half guard specifically, right? Because there's different variations of half guard, okay? And half guard could be a good position for the bottom person as well as the top person, provided each person meets a specific criteria. So what criteria am I looking to meet to make sure that this position is beneficial for me and not for him, okay? First thing I want to think about is at the lower body, okay? I need to get half guard, but I need to get over both of his knees. So if he's playing a knee shield half guard, this is something I haven't got to my goal yet, okay? Yes, I'm in half guard technically, but he has all these frames in place, okay? So what type of a half guard am I looking to get to, okay? We'll look at dealing with these type of things later on in the video, but just so you guys understand, I'm looking to get to a position where I've beaten both of my training partner's knees, okay? So his knees are no longer in front of me and can no longer push me. The biggest thing for the guard player is to be able to keep me in front of his knees and feet. For half guard specifically, if he can keep me in front of his knees, for example, as a knee shield here, or he can keep me in front of this knee, okay? Or maybe he keeps me in front of his shin here with a butterfly hook. These are all great positions for him. Why? Because he's able to push me with his legs. If he can push me with his legs, he can elevate me, he can off balance me, he can start going into a whole bunch of different things, okay? And so I need to take away his ability to push and put him in a situation where he can only pull with the legs. From here, when I'm over both of his knees in half guard, he can no longer push me with his legs, shins, knees, feet, okay? He can only pull his knees to his chest, and this is not particularly useful, and it's more tiring for him, okay? So you can see how I'm over his top knee, and you can see on this side how he would love to have this knee in front. I'm looking to get over this knee. So the bottom knee and the top knee are beat, okay? The next thing I'm looking to do is obviously chest to chest, right? So I want to be chest to chest in front of my partner. And now the hand position is going to vary, okay? So there's a bunch of different little hand positions, and you're going to have to go in and solidify upper body grips. But just as a general rule, you need to control your opponent's shoulder and headline. And so what I'm looking to do is be chest to chest, yes, but I want to take his shoulder, the far shoulder, and I want the far shoulder on the floor, okay? So if I could do these things, now I'm in a solid position.
And he doesn't have very much that he can do from these positions. If he wants to do stuff, he's got to start putting frames back in. He's got to start taking the far shoulder and hip off the mat, and he's got to start bringing his legs back into a position where now he can create distance and he can start pushing me, okay? So our goals are to go in, beat the knees, establish upper body grips, chest to chest, but most importantly, keep the far shoulder, okay, on the mat. We need to dominate that far side of his body. He needs the exact opposite, okay? And so half guard could be good for both top and bottom, provided we can meet, if we want it to be good for us, we want to meet that criteria, okay? Where we do all these things, we get past the knees, we get chest to chest, we pin the far shoulder on the mat. And so if I can do that, now passing his guard is going to be the easiest thing in the world, okay? But if we can't do those things, then being in his half guard, if he's a good half guard player, is going to be tough, okay? So let's look at some strategies now to go in and pass it, or go in and force half guard, okay, in a position that we want. First, we'll look at standing. There's 3 distances that just conceptually you want to think about. One is kind of a loose far distance where right now we're neutral. I'm going to need him on his back, okay? I'm going to need to put him on his back at some point, okay? There's going to be times where he's going to play seated, but we need to get him on his back at some point. This is going to be a lot easier for us to get our work done here. The first one I'm going to look at is using loose passing, where I'm playing at space and at distance, to just get this guy in a defensive mode, get him in a defensive cycle where he's forcing to regard. Remember we talked about the pushing strength of the legs? I don't want to be in positions like this. I want to start generating angles, and I want to start baiting this guy to want to take half guard, okay? And so there's a bunch of different ways that I can go about moving and creating angles to where I act like I want a conventional loose guard pass. And as I start working my way into these positions, I can start forcing him and baiting him to go in and start taking my leg in half guard, okay? So as I put good loose passing pressure, good pressure at distance, I can force him, you can see that I have to get through all these frames if I wanted to pass him conventionally. But if I want to force him into half guard, I just give him my leg, okay? And then from there, we can start working our way into good half guard positions. And we'll look at specifically different techniques that we can use to use that strategy. So the first one would be utilizing loose passing and side-to-side movement, okay? Generating angles that forces your opponent in a defensive state for extended periods of time. And then from there, we bait him to start going in and hooking one of our legs, okay? So we act like we want to go in and start closing distance, but realistically, we want him to think that he's recovered just enough that he got us in half guard, and then that's exactly what we wanted initially, okay? The second one we're going to look at, and we got to be good at all of these because you never know where you're going to find yourself in a match, okay? Sometimes we try to get around our opponent's legs, but they just manage to tangle us up. Okay, and so we have to be able to use this kind of mid-range where, yes, he's connected to my legs now. With the previous one, he wasn't connected to my legs. So I'm able to generate this side-to-side motion a lot easier. But if he's connected to my legs, now if I wanted to get back to a loose passing situation, I'd have to disentangle all this and go in and start working. So there are ways that we can go in and we can start getting to half guard good positions from here, from situations like this, or from situations like this, where I'm more in like a split squat, headquarters type position. We're at mid-range where we're engaged. I'm engaged in his legs and we're engaged with each other, okay? So with the previous one, I was engaged with him, but it was hard for him to engage with me. With these situations, his legs are incorporated. So there's certainly things that he can do, and we have to learn how to neutralize them to get us into a position where I can get past his knees and go in and start getting chest to chest, okay? And the third one is going to be body lock situations where, especially when my opponent's seated and he's seated up and I feel like I have a hard time getting him to his back, or maybe I want to pass from my knees, okay, because I feel like he just does a good job at entangling the legs and I just want to avoid that and I want to be more hip heavy here. We can go in and start using body lock situations. And from here, I've already gotten very close to my opponent, so that's one of the good benefits. Also, I kill a lot of his offense from bottom position because I'm controlling my opponent's hips so well. And from here, it's all about getting over one of his knees.